Hey there, my name is Roxane Webster.
And I'm Keith Alba.
We are with my home team at Keller Williams at Advantage in the greater Denver metro area.
That's right. And we're back for yet another version of The Honest Hour.
This is our largely spin-free environment, except of course, me. And I'm wearing a striped shirt, so it might give that gyro.
Yeah, need to do the Have some sound effects in here for us. Yeah. So yeah, this is our weekly video blog, I guess we could almost call it, that we're putting out on things that touch real estate, the economy, housing market, major shakeups, news announcements, things along those lines. We just want to get you kind of some quick information and put it into a no spin zone. Just kind of give you our thoughts and impressions on what's going on.
So what are we talking about today, Mr. Alba?
So today we're just going to do a market update. We received some new stats from our friends over at First American Title that are watching and tracking some numbers for us. And this is going to be talking about, October's numbers because October just ended, obviously. And so now we've got some new stats that are out there. So just wanted to kind of give everyone a market update, what's happening in the Denver real estate market and what we're seeing.
Good. So what's up? What's the big news?
Yeah. So I guess, first of all, Rox, one of my favorite quotes that you always like to point out there, right? Never trust any statistics that you haven't manipulated yourself, right? And so just for clarity's purposes, the way that Megan Aller over at First American does these is she pulls information from the 7 metro counties that are out there. Those are going to be defined as Adams, Arapahoe, Broomfield, Denver, Douglas, Elbert, and Jefferson counties, right? Rather than, you'll see some other stats that may come out, the different numbers that are a part of it, those sometimes are going to be focused on the entire MLS that's a part of it. And sometimes there may be agents from, say, the mountain communities that are trying to advertise a property down in the Denver metro area to get us flatlanders to come up and make a purchase, or we'll get some people from Colorado Springs that are advertising in our market. So for me, I kind of like the way that Megan and First American does this, just because it does exclude to just this, 7 metro counties. Yeah. And they pulled Boulder out of it. Boulder, it's its own unique kind of real estate environment and can have a tendency to maybe skew the numbers compared to the rest of the Denver metro area. So
its numbers are as unique and individual as the city itself.
Well said. Well said. So some of the things that we're seeing out there, continuation of the reduction of active inventory. And
that is the story all around the country, sir.
For the detached single family houses, we saw in October a reduction of 11.5% from September to October in terms of the number of active inventories. Attached single families, so your condos, townhouses, those properties, not quite as big of a drop. They were down 6.1 month over month. So from September to October, kind of also talking about that seasonality that we see. But overall, it's still very tight out there. The inventory's down. Pendings went up, so now we've got an increase of 3% in pendings. So the properties that went under contract from September to October were up by 3%.
So fewer listings coming on and more of them going under contract.
Yeah. So just further putting pressures on those active listings that are out there, pulling more of them out of the properties, out of the market for buyers to purchase. So it's a challenge for sure. And I think maybe the best way to do is kind of show this graph that was provided. What you're seeing here, the black lines are going to be an average of the years from 2013 through 2019 on the month, right? So for January, the average over those years, we had an average number of 1,414 listings, active listings that came on, 1,495. The green dot with the reds is going to be the 2020 year. We were tracking pretty close to that average. March, April, May timeline, we saw a little bit of a bump that's there. But what's shocking to me is 2021's year. Look how little inventory is coming to the market compared to the average of those 7 years that were there, or even, the 2020 year. In some cases, it's a third almost of the active inventory that was previously on the market compared to what we're seeing now.
This is so interesting. And in view of the recent video we did on Zillow, it feels like there are lots of pressures that are holding properties off the market. I mean, obviously, we have a sector of the market, sellers, who are looking at this, even if they don't know these numbers, they know it instinctively that they may want to sell their house, but they're saying, where on earth would I buy, right, if there's this little to choose from? And I think that that's kind of grinding a whole sector of the market that otherwise would be moving down. And then we've got other people who are moving. If they do find a house, they see the rental rates so high, they say, why on earth would I sell this thing when I can be using it as income? So, and then of course, institutional buyers who are into many markets, attempting to get more rental properties. Where does this go?
I don't know. The crystal ball is failing me on this side of it, Rox. But what I can tell you is, like we've talked in previous things, seasonality, right? And you can see it in the graph. As we start heading towards the year end, we are expecting even less active inventory to come on the market, right? And so nothing is indicating to us that we're going to see any change in that trend towards the end of this year. So for the last couple of months of 21 here, we can expect, to see active inventory most likely drop and continue to do so. And then 22 is a wild card. Who knows what's going to come? Are we going to get back to kind of our average numbers, or is 21 going to become the new norm?
Right. And if we also, being in the market and selling properties, it's interesting too that you would imagine with this type of inventory that we would see the multiple offer situation just 3 times as bad. However, this drop in inventory we're seeing is also being accompanied by a drop in buyer activity.
Yeah, I almost kind of think there's a buyer fatigue, would maybe be the best way to do it, right? They've been in the trenches, battling so hard, fighting for these houses that they really want, only to get the rug pulled out from them from maybe one of those institutional investors that comes in and offers all cash with quick close and no contingencies that are a part of it. And just, gearing up for that battle on every property that they like, only to have the rug pulled out for them, is emotionally taxing. And I think there's some people that are just saying, you know what, I quit. Mercy. Yeah, mercy. I'm just going to hunker down where I'm at. It's good enough for now. And I'll see what ultimately comes, and maybe revisit this in a year or two. I think they're going to be watching, these numbers that we're talking about here. And as inventory starts getting back to maybe a decent level, they start coming back to the market. But the question there is, we've seen already the federal government is going to start backing off of their bond buying and putting money into the system. They're going to start raising the interest rates, which don't necessarily directly tie to mortgage interest rates, but there is going to be an increase in those interest rates moving forward. Almost every expert that I hear of is saying that same thing. So it'll be interesting to see, because as interest rates increase, all of a sudden the buying power decreases. What a buyer could have qualified for before at today's interest rates is inversely related to, as interest rates go up, that buying power will drop.
Right. So something that they might have been able to buy for $500,000 at a certain payment, if the interest rates go up, that same exact payment means a lower sales price, like $450 or $400. Right. Interest rates make a big difference. I've read that even a 1 point shift in interest rates causes a 10% variation in the value of property for that same exact payment, right? That speaks to affordability. What's interesting to me, right, when we talk about a seller's market and inventory, if we look at traditional real estate, typically a balanced market is considered 6 months of inventory. And what that means is if we didn't list another house ever again, how long would it take us to run out of the inventory that we currently have on the market? And a 6-month inventory of houses is considered a balanced market. It's not clearly a seller's market, not clearly a buyer's market. Then you start seeing negotiation and the value of the property and the type of condition. We have been running at anywhere between, where are we sitting right now?
So right now, across all price points, we have just over a half a month's worth of inventory that's out there.
2 weeks inventory, right?
The only place that has that balanced number that you were talking about, Rox, is the 2 to 3 million price point individually. So the highest competitive market that's out there is going to be in the $200,000 to $400,000 range.
We call that the Hunger Games sector of the market.
Yeah, less than half a month's worth of inventory in
That's
that
2
price.
weeks.
And while this, it's interesting, but look at, I mean, even up in the $1.5 to $2 million range, we're under 2 months worth of inventory on that price point there.
Which is really unusual. It's very unusual. So with this, one would imagine that when you have this reduction of inventory that's this low, that we would also see the prices continue to appreciate at this, we're looking at almost 25% appreciation over the last 2 years. It will be very interesting to see if that continues, or if we see the buyers continue to just, at some point, the buyers say, "Uncle, I'm not paying that." Is that driven because of interest rates? We just don't know. It's going to be a very interesting coming year.
Yeah, again, the to be continued, so to speak, right? Is we'll see what happens, but I think the predictions, like you're saying, we're going to see some more. If no new inventory comes in, like if the dams don't break, and all of a sudden we just get this unexpected inventory from somewhere, it's going to be back into what we've seen for the last 3-4 years of reduced inventory, highly competitive. And
multiple offers,
buyers doing things that in years past we would be adamant against advising them to do, but in order to get into a house, it's what has to be done in this market.
Yeah, good. Any other gems that we're missing while you've got the magic report of useful information up?
I think really the best thing too is kind of what we were talking about in that Zillow thing is it is very localized, right? And so different pockets in the Denver metro area are reacting differently to this sort of a piece. And I'm scrolling real quick to see if I can find this heat map, which shows you by zip code kind of where the hottest places are. And while I'm scrolling, I'll tell you that the interesting part for me that's been holding true for a while now is the downtown city center area is the best place for buyers to be looking right now.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. We can talk about. There's just a massive move away from highly populated areas. So right in here in this light blue area, this is showing your average days on market. So that's going to be right in the downtown metro area. It's less competitive in there. You get out towards the outer skirts, almost like Kansas West out there. You've got, some pockets. The highly and most contagious or most contentious areas are going to be in the west side and into the foothills. People want that space. They want that freedom. They want to be socially distanced in their housing almost, right? As they're getting away from high populated areas and moving out to where there's a little bit more freedom. There's a little bit more space. So strategically, if you always wanted to live in the city center, have good things like walk scores and things along those lines, that may be the best opportunity for you at this point. If you're a seller in the market on the west side of town and into the foothills, start ringing that cash cow, right? Because you're going to be able to command a lot and get some very favorable terms out there.
Very, very interesting. Well, good. Thank you for walking us through those numbers with your magnificent dome.
Nice and shiny today.
And we will be back next week for more of the Honest Hour.
Yeah, remember to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so that you get notified when these comes out. Great content, right, Rox? I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that notification system?
Who wouldn't want it? All right, gang, thank you. We'll look forward
See you
to
next time.